So I wanted to share my experience with buying a flat. And the reason why I want to share this experience is because I had the misconception where that I couldn't buy a property at this time, considering I'm so young and I'm self-employed. But it turns out that it is actually possible, and it may be possible for you too. Even if you're not in a position yet to do it, I think this may give you, especially if you're in the UK, this may give you some idea of how to go about it when you are ready. This is not sponsored at all. This is genuinely my experience and how I was actually able to get a mortgage. So like I said before, I am self-employed. And what that means is lenders are not necessarily willing to lend to you, especially considering they base it off usually your last two self-assessments. And my last two self-assessments do not nearly represent how much I'm earning currently. My first one was something like £5,000 in a year. My second one was more, but still like they combine it and it really wasn't much at all. I originally contacted a broker because I saw this property and I thought I'm 5 years away, but I'll just give it a go and see like what they could do. So the good thing about brokers, or at least the brokers that I've had experiences with, is they don't charge you for anything until they actually secure you a mortgage. Obviously check with whatever broker you talk to, but that's my experience with them. So the first one I went to, they said, took all my details and they were like, sorry, I can't, you're not able to get a mortgage. So I did some digging and I'm very lucky. I have very supportive parents. So I saw this option. I saw somewhere it said online that you could possibly get guarantor mortgages, which my parents have been guarantors on my rented properties before. So basically if I don't pay my rent, then they're liable to pay it too. They've never had to pay the rent, but that just gives the landlord more security. And it kind of works, I'm not an expert, but it kind of works in a similar way for mortgages as well. So if I was not able to pay the mortgage, then if I have a guarantor, they have to. So the lender's much more likely to lend to me. So I found that and I was really excited because I was like, yeah, maybe this is kind of a way that it could happen. And the broker I was originally with just said like, no, this is not even a thing. Like, this doesn't exist. Banks don't allow this anymore. And all the evidence online was saying otherwise, so I just didn't take that as an answer. And I found someone else. Now, again, this is not sponsored. This is genuinely my experience. This is the only reason, I really believe they're the only reason why I was able to actually get a mortgage. However, I do have a referral link down below for this particular broker because they just happen to have one. And basically, if you end up using this broker, I get 250 quid and you get 250 quid, which is good for me and you. Just happens to be that way, which is great. I hope you use it. Now, they offer a range of different expertise. The first thing to kind of consider is, again, you don't pay them until they actually get a mortgage for you. So I wasn't scared of asking them the questions and seeing if I was actually able. I was on a call with them, and I was giving them all my details, and they can tell you how much you can actually borrow. Now, I went for the guarantor mortgage, but they do standard mortgages as well. And they're just really, really friendly people. My broker was called Dan. He was extremely friendly and was actually able to get me basically in my first property. So my experience with Dan and Tembo is it was really easy. He was really great to talk to. Went through the process all on call, which I really appreciate. And he just managed to get me a mortgage and said, this is how much you're able to borrow. It was something like up to 190 or 210 or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what was the limit. But I found a property that is like 150. And I mean, where I am living now, that's low. I know that's not low for every area. So I did have to provide paperwork, and that kind of paperwork and things that you need to consider when applying for any mortgage, especially if you are self-employed, is your past two tax self-assessments. So if you haven't done those, you need at least two. You need to save at least 10% of your deposit. You also need at least £2,000 for solicitors, and they're the people who basically deal with purchase of the property. And then the broker, like I said, you do pay them after they actually have got you a mortgage. However, with them, it feels a little bit better because you pay them and then you have them as your broker forever, or for however, you need, because they will remortgage and do everything for you after you pay that amount too, which is really cool. the broker walks you through all the different options. Like, do you want a 2 years fixed mortgage? They even managed to, when the interest rates went down, they even managed to get my initial mortgage agreement to go down. And that was amazing. So yeah, I just highly recommend them. And whatever you're doing right now, click on that link below and just talk to them and see what your options are, and even what you can aim for and what you should be aiming for. So it was a really exciting time because the broker was like, yeah, you can actually do it. I'm so glad I didn't listen to the first one because I think there's a lot of people who maybe in my position or even in a better position who don't think they can get a property who actually can. And I haven't tested out all the brokers in the world, but these people were amazing and they were able to get me exactly what I wanted. But if you have any questions or anything, just message me below.